Welcome to Sonic Sciences and this special edition of the Scholastic series. I've long embraced the study of communication and the English language. What follows is a concise overview of grammar and syntax, offered in the hope that it proves both accessible and practical in your pursuit of greater understanding and more effective expression. As we enter into the world of grammar and syntax, I want to show you that grammar isn't a cage. It's a key to unlocking clarity, expressing yourself with flair, and truly connecting with others. Think of the English language as a grand and sprawling city. Our mission today is a simple one: to become tour guides of this magnificent city. We will explore its fundamental principles together, remembering that we are explorers, not examinees. We are here to appreciate the incredible architecture of our language. Now let's begin. Why bother with grammar? Communication is like playing darts. Good grammar is your aiming system. It's the difference between being vaguely understood and crystal clear. Clarity is a gift to your listener. You present your thoughts perfectly arranged and easy to digest. Without it, it can lead to misunderstandings. When you speak with good grammar, you sound more credible. Good grammar is dressing your thoughts in their Sunday best. We bother because we want to be understood. It's a practical tool for a better life. It's about being effective. It's about empowering yourself to say precisely what you mean. Syntax is how we arrange words to form proper sentences. Syntax is the architectural blueprint that tells us how to put the building blocks together. Consider: dog bites man. The dog bites the man differs dramatically from the man bites the dog. That is the power of syntax. English typically follows subject-verb-object. Syntax is a tool for creating meaning and emphasis. It's another superpower hidden in plain sight. There are many myths surrounding grammar that can make it seem terrifying. The biggest myth is that you have to be a genius to understand it. This is absolute nonsense. You are already a grammar expert. If you can form a sentence that another English speaker understands, you are using complex grammatical rules without even thinking about it. Another myth is that grammar rules are rigid and must never be broken. But language is a living, breathing, evolving creature. The rules are more like guidelines. Perhaps the most damaging myth is that grammar is all about finding fault. True grammatical understanding fosters generosity. Our aim is confidence, not correction. So let's slay these mythical beasts. Grammar is simply the study of how words work together. It is a powerful and accessible tool that is available to every single one of us. Let's claim it, shall we? Now that we've set the stage, let's see what we'll be covering. Allow me to offer you a quick peek at the menu. We will start with the basics and build up from there, step by logical step. First, we will meet the cast of characters, the parts of speech. We have the stars of the show, the nouns, and the verbs. Once we know our actors, we'll move on to directing the play, where we learn to build sentences. By the end of our hour, you'll have a fantastic toolkit for both speaking and writing with greater confidence and style. What do I hope you will take away from this lesson? I want to help you shift your perspective. I want you to stop seeing grammar as an obstacle and start seeing it as your ally. My goal is to help you move from being a timid talker to a confident communicator. Real confidence comes from understanding the fundamental principles. Once you grasp the core principles, you can create your own beautiful, effective sentences. You will be the chef of your own language. Our journey is about empowerment. By the time our hour is up, you will have a solid foundation and be ready to communicate with more clarity, more charm, and more confidence. Let the adventure begin. Welcome to Act 1. It's time to meet the performers. Every sentence is a small drama. The words we use are the cast of characters, each with its own specific role. Understanding these roles is the first step towards directing your own linguistic productions. We'll get a feel for their personalities. We will start with the star of the show, the noun, the word that names everything. Then we will meet the energetic heart of the sentence, the verb. We will then meet the supporting cast, who add all the richness and flavor, the adjectives and adverbs. Let's give each part of speech its moment in the spotlight. By the end of this act, you'll understand their purpose. So let's raise the curtain. Let's give a warm welcome to the noun. Here it is, the noun, from the Latin nomen, meaning name. A noun is a naming word. It's the label we stick on everything. If it exists, it has a noun. Your name, my name, the chair, the air, the idea, all nouns. The apple rolled down the hill. Nouns anchor the sentence. They're essential to every story. Proper nouns are specific names, like Stephen Fry or London. Common nouns are general, like man or city. Abstract nouns are intangible, like love or fear. They name concepts as real as the table in front of you. The noun is our starting point, the anchor of thought. They are the stars of the show. Every great star needs a good understudy. In the theater of language, that hard-working understudy is the pronoun. Pro means for, or in place of. So a pronoun is a word that stands in place of a noun. Imagine a world without pronouns. We would have to say things like, Sarah went to the shop because Sarah needed to buy some milk. This is where the pronoun heroically steps in to save the day. They make our speech flow more smoothly and naturally. There are the personal pronouns, the ones we use for people and things. I, you, he, she, it, we, they, me, him, her, us, and them. But when used well, they are the unsung heroes of clear communication. If nouns are the who or what, then verbs are the what's happening. The verb is the engine, it is the action. Without a verb, a sentence is just a static list. The verb turns that photograph into a moving picture. Words like run, jump, think, create, is, seems, becomes, these are all verbs. Think of any story. It is a sequence of verbs. They are the heart of the action. Every complete thought requires a verb. It is the lifeblood of the sentence. Without the verb, we are left in silence. With the verb, we have action. Now that we have our stars, the nouns, and our engine, the verbs, it's time to call in the design department. It's time to add some color, texture, and detail to our scene with the adjective. An adjective is a describing word. It turns a house into a huge, spooky, dilapidated house. Adjectives are the words that paint pictures for the listener. Adjectives add flavor, richness, and personality. The old man walked the fluffy, energetic dog. Suddenly, a picture forms in our minds. The adjective is the artist of the language, transforming simple labels into vivid, multi-dimensional concepts. It is the quickest way to turn a dull statement into a dazzling image. If adjectives are the artists who decorate our nouns, then adverbs are the choreographers who add style and flair to our verbs. An adverb is a word that modifies a verb, an adjective, or even another adverb. That sounds a bit complicated, but the basic idea is simple. Its main job is to tell us more about the action. It answers questions like how, when, where, how often, to what extent. If the verb is the engine, the adverb is the person telling us how the engine is running. Is it running smoothly, loudly, dangerously, efficiently? All those words are adverbs. Many adverbs in English are easy to spot because they end in the letters lie. Words like quickly, slowly, happily, sadly, carefully, beautifully. They take an adjective like quick and transform it into a word that can describe an action. The dog wasn't just barking, the dog was barking loudly. The sun wasn't just shining, it was shining brightly. This is the adverb's most common and important role, adding detail and precision to the verbs in our sentences. It gives us a much clearer picture of how the action is unfolding. It's the difference between he sang and he sang beautifully. But adverbs are more versatile than that. They don't just modify verbs, they can also modify adjectives, making them stronger or weaker. For example, in the phrase, a very tall building, the adjective is tall. The word very is an adverb telling us how tall. It's not just tall, it's very tall. Or it could be incredibly tall or somewhat tall. Adverbs can also modify other adverbs. She ran extremely quickly. Here, quickly is an adverb describing how she ran, and extremely is another adverb describing how quickly. It's like adding an extra layer of detail. So, the adverb is the master of modification. It adds nuance and precision to our language. It tells us the manner, time, place, and degree of the action. It can turn a simple action into a detailed performance. They are the words that add subtlety and sophistication to our expression. While adjectives paint the nouns, adverbs choreograph the verbs. They ensure the action is performed with just the right amount of style, speed, and emotion. They are the directors of detail, the enhancers of action, and an incredibly useful part of our linguistic toolkit. Now let's look at the essential, often overlooked articles. There are only three: a, an, and the. They introduce nouns, signaling what's coming. A and an are indefinite, referring to general things. Use a before consonant sounds and before vowel sounds. The is definite, pointing to something specific. These tiny words provide clarity, a small but mighty part of speech indeed. Our next essential crew member is the preposition. A preposition shows the relationship between a noun or pronoun and another word telling us about location, time, and direction. Words like in, on, under, over, behind, across, before, after, with, and for are all prepositions. The cat is in the box. The cat is on the box. The cat is under the box. Each of those little prepositions completely changes the picture in our heads. Prepositions also tell us about time. They are the glue that connects different parts of the sentence in a logical way. Last but certainly not least in this first act, let us meet the conjunction. If prepositions create relationships within a clause, conjunctions are the great connectors that join words, phrases, and even entire sentences together. They are the master bridge builders of language. Their job is to link ideas, showing how they relate to one another. The most common ones form a little group that you can remember with the acronym fanboys, for and nor but, or yet so. These are called coordinating conjunctions, and they join two elements of equal importance. Think about the word and. It is perhaps the most common conjunction of all. It simply adds one thing to another. I like tea and coffee. It connects two nouns. He is tall and handsome. It connects two adjectives. She ran to the station and caught the train. It connects two complete ideas. Then there is but, which shows a contrast. I like tea, but I don't like coffee. Or, which shows a choice. Would you like tea or coffee? These simple words are the fundamental tools we use to build more complex and interesting thoughts beyond a single simple statement. Beyond the fanboys, there is another important group called subordinating conjunctions. These are words like because, since, although, while, if, when, and unless. Their job is to join an important idea, an independent clause, with a less important or dependent idea, a subordinate clause. They show a more complex relationship between the ideas, such as cause and effect, contrast, or condition. For example, in the sentence, I stayed inside because it was raining, the main idea is I stayed inside. The conjunction because introduces the reason for it. It shows a logical connection. Conjunctions are absolutely vital for creating sophisticated, flowing sentences. They allow us to move beyond short, choppy statements and express nuanced relationships between our thoughts. It was raining. I stayed inside. Those are two simple sentences. I stayed inside because it was raining is one more elegant, complex sentence. It shows the connection explicitly. By learning to use conjunctions effectively, you can combine your ideas in countless ways, creating sentences that are not only grammatically correct, but also logical, persuasive, and a pleasure to read or hear. They are the weavers of our words, taking individual threads of thought and binding them into a rich and coherent tapestry. And with that, the curtain falls on Act 1. Bravo. Cast. Welcome back to our theater of words. In Act 1, we met our cast: noun, verb, adjective, and all the parts of speech. Now we'll bring them together to build a scene. In Act 2, we become directors, arranging words into meaningful structures. We'll explore the architecture of the English sentence, focusing on the subject and the predicate. This partnership unlocks sentence construction. We'll also introduce the object and the subject-verb-object structure. By the end, you'll assemble sentences with clarity, so grab your megaphone. The actors are ready. Action. Every play, every film, every story needs a protagonist. It needs a hero, a main character, someone or something that the whole thing is about. In the drama of a sentence, this leading role is played by the subject. The subject is, quite simply, who or what the sentence is about. It is the person, place, thing, or idea that is performing the action or being described. It is the star of the show. To find the subject of any sentence, you only need to ask a simple question. Who or what is doing the verb? The answer to that question is your subject. Let's take a simple sentence. The dog barks. Who or what barks? The dog. Therefore, the dog is the subject. Or another. Sarah loves grammar. Who loves grammar? Sarah. So, Sarah is the subject. It can be a simple one-word noun, or it can be a more complex phrase. For instance, the tall, friendly man with the bright red hat smiled. Who smiled? The tall, friendly man with the bright red hat. That entire phrase is the subject. It's the complete package that names the main character of our little sentence story. It is the anchor point around which everything else revolves. The subject will almost always be a noun or a pronoun. This makes perfect sense because nouns and pronouns are the naming words, the words that represent the things in our world. It is their job to be the topic of conversation. He ran. Who ran? He. The pronoun he is the subject. London is a big city. What is a big city? London. The proper noun London is the subject. Finding the subject is the first and most crucial step in understanding a sentence's structure. It tells you where to focus your attention. It establishes the central pillar of meaning. So think of the subject as the sun in a tiny solar system. All the other words in the sentence, the planets, orbit around it. It is the source of the action, the topic of the description, the reason the sentence exists in the first place. It provides the answer to the most basic question, what are we talking about? By learning to identify the subject quickly and confidently, you are learning to see the very core of any sentence. You are identifying the star of the show, and once you have your star, you are well on your way to understanding the entire production. If the subject is the star, the predicate is everything else. The predicate tells us what the subject is or what the subject is doing. It contains the verb and all the other words that complete the thought. Once you have identified your subject, everything that is left over is the predicate. In the sentence, the dog barks. The predicate is barks. In Sarah loves grammar, the predicate is loves grammar. The heart of every predicate is the verb. The subject names the topic and the predicate makes a comment about that topic. The subject gives us our hero and the predicate gives us the entire plot of the hero's story. They are the two essential pillars that hold up the entire structure of the sentence. We're formally introduced to our power couple, the subject and the predicate. To be a complete sentence, you must have both. A subject without a predicate is just a label. The little brown fox, what? Without a predicate, we have no information. Likewise, a predicate without a subject is a disembodied action. Jumped over the lazy dog, who? It leaves the listener searching for the missing piece. A sentence is a unit of thought that contains a subject and a predicate. Think of the shortest sentence, go. The subject is you hiding in plain sight. Now that our sentences have a star, the subject, and a story, the predicate, some of our little dramas, require another character. This character doesn't perform the action, but instead receives it. This is the object. The object is the noun or pronoun that is directly affected by the verb. It answers the question, what or whom, after the verb. Not all sentences have an object. Some verbs just don't need one. For example, in the baby slept, the verb slept doesn't transfer action to anything. The baby is just sleeping. The sentence is complete with just a subject and a verb. However, many verbs feel incomplete without an object. These are called transitive verbs because the action transits or passes across from the subject to something else. If I say the chef prepared, you are left wondering. The chef prepared what? The sentence needs an object to be complete. The chef prepared the meal. Much better. The meal is the object. It receives the action of the verb, prepared. It answers the question, the chef prepared what? The meal. It completes the thought and makes the sentence feel whole and satisfying. Finding the object is a straightforward process. First, find your subject and your verb. Then ask the question what or whom after the verb. Let's try it. The cat chased the mouse. Subject. The cat. Verb. Chased. The cat chased what? The mouse. Therefore, the mouse is the object. She wrote a letter. Subject. She. Verb. Wrote. She wrote what? A letter. A letter is the object. The teacher helps the students. Subject. The teacher. Verb. Helps. The teacher helps whom? The students. The students is the object. It's a simple and reliable method. The object adds a crucial layer of information to our sentences. It clarifies the action of the verb by showing where that action is directed. It gives the verb a target. The subject acts. The verb is the action and the object receives that action. This three-part structure, subject-verb-object, is the cornerstone of many, many sentences in the English language. It provides a clear, logical flow of information that our brains find very easy to process. Understanding the role of the object allows you to build sentences that are not only complete, but also rich with specific detail. Just when you thought it was safe, we discover that the role of the object can sometimes be a little more complex. Occasionally, a sentence will have not one, but two objects following the verb. This happens when the action is being given or transferred to someone or something. In these cases, we have a direct object and an indirect object. Don't be alarmed by the terminology. The concept is quite logical. The direct object is the thing we have already been talking about. It's the thing that directly receives the action of the verb. It answers the question what or whom. The indirect object, on the other hand, is the recipient of the direct object. It usually answers the question to whom or for whom the action was done. It almost always comes before the direct object in the sentence. Let's look at an example to make this clear. I gave my mother a gift. First, let's find the basics. Subject, I, verb, gave. Now, what did I give? A gift. So, a gift is our direct object. It's the thing being given. Now we ask, to whom did I give the gift? To my mother. Therefore, my mother is the indirect object. This structure is very common with verbs of giving, showing, telling, or sending. Think about it. These actions naturally involve three parties: the giver, the thing given, and the person who receives it. He told the children a story. Subject, he. Verb, told. What did he tell? A story, direct object. To whom did he tell it? The children, indirect object. She sent me an email. Subject, she. Verb, sent. What did she send? An email, direct object. To whom did she send it? Me, indirect object. The pattern is consistent. Subject, verb, indirect object, direct object. You can often test for an indirect object by trying to rephrase the sentence using the words to or for. He told a story to the children. She sent an email to me. I gave a gift to my mother. If you can rephrase the sentence in this way and it still makes sense, then you have almost certainly found an indirect object. Understanding this distinction allows you to add another layer of detail and precision to your sentences. It helps you to clearly explain not just what happened, but also who benefited from the action. We have now explored all the key components: the subject, the verb, and the object. It is time to put them together into the most common, most powerful, and most important sentence pattern in the English language. This is the Subject-Verb-Object, or SVO, structure. It is the fundamental blueprint for millions upon millions of clear and effective sentences. Its beauty lies in its simplicity and its logical flow. It starts with the actor, states the action, and then reveals the thing that was acted upon. It's a natural way to tell a story. This SVO pattern is the default setting for English. It is the structure our brains expect to hear, which makes it incredibly easy for a listener or reader to understand. When we hear the dog bit the postman, we don't have to do any mental gymnastics. We know instantly who did the biting and who was unfortunately bitten. The order tells the story. Subject, the dog. Verb, bit. Object, the postman. This clarity is why the SVO pattern is the backbone of clear communication, from simple children's books to complex scientific papers. It delivers information efficiently and unambiguously. Of course, English is a wonderfully flexible language, and we don't have to use this structure all the time. Poets and playwrights in particular love to mix things up for dramatic effect. Shakespeare might write, "The postman, the dog bit." This is an object, subject, verb, OSV construction. It still makes sense, but it feels more dramatic and places a great deal of emphasis on the poor postman. However, this is a stylistic choice, a deliberate deviation from the norm. For everyday clear communication, sticking to the trusted SVO blueprint is almost always the best strategy. It is the clearest and most direct route to understanding. Mastering this one simple pattern is a huge step towards grammatical confidence. When you are unsure how to phrase something, try to build it around the SVO core. First, identify your subject. Who or what are you talking about? Then your verb, what are they doing? Finally, your object, what are they doing it to? By assembling your thoughts in this order, you will create sentences that are strong, logical, and easy for anyone to follow. It is the master key to unlocking clear sentence construction, the simple and elegant foundation upon which everything else is built. We have journeyed through the theory, met the key players, and examined the blueprint. It is now time to get our hands dirty. It's time to stop being spectators and start being builders. Let's take the components we've discussed, subjects, predicates, verbs, and objects, and consciously assemble them into complete, well-formed sentences. We will start simply using the reliable subject-verb-object pattern as our guide. This practical application is where the knowledge truly begins to stick, moving from an abstract idea in your head to a tangible skill you can use. Let's pick a subject. How about the musician? This is who our sentence is about. Now we need a predicate, starting with a verb. What did the musician do? Let's say the musician played. The musician played. This is a complete sentence, a subject-verb construction. It's grammatically sound. But the verb played feels like it wants an object. Played what? Let's add a direct object, a beautiful melody. Now we put it all together following our SVO blueprint. The musician played a beautiful melody, a perfect, simple, and descriptive sentence. Subject, the musician. Verb played. Object, a beautiful melody. Let's try another one, this time including an indirect object, our subject, the company. Our verb, offered. What did they offer? A new job, which is our direct object. To whom did they offer it? The talented applicant, our indirect object. Now let's assemble it using the SVIO do pattern we learned. Subject, verb, indirect object, direct object. The company offered the talented applicant a new job. See how neatly it all fits together? Every component has its place. And the result is a sentence that communicates a complex idea with perfect clarity and grace. This process of consciously assembling sentences is like practicing scales on a piano. At first it might feel a little mechanical, a little slow. But with practice it becomes second nature. You begin to see the underlying structures everywhere. You start to feel when a sentence is balanced and when a component is missing. By building simple sentences with these core patterns, you are laying the foundation for creating much more complex and nuanced sentences later on. You are learning the fundamental architecture of English, not through memorization, but through creation. And that, my friends, is how you truly become the director of your own language. And with that, Act 2 draws to a close. A splendid effort, everyone. Welcome back to our Grand Theater of Grammar. In Act 2, we learned how to assemble our cast of characters into the fundamental structure of a sentence. Now, in Act 3, we get to decorate it. This is the act where we add flair, function, and feeling to our communication. Sometimes we need to ask a question or give a command. English provides us with different types of sentences to perform these different functions. We will explore these sentence types, seeing how small changes can completely alter the purpose and tone of what we say. So, let us begin. The stage is set for a truly expressive performance. Just as a chef has different ways to prepare a dish, roasting, frying, steaming, grilling, a speaker has different ways to structure a sentence. Each structure or sentence type serves a unique purpose and creates a different effect. In English, we can group almost every sentence you will ever hear or say into one of four main categories. Think of them as the four primary flavors of communication. Learning to recognize and use these four types will give you enormous control over your tone and your ability to interact with the world. They are your fundamental communication toolkit, allowing you to express a full range of intentions. The first and most common type is the declarative sentence. This is the workhorse of the language. Its job is simply to state a fact, to make a declaration, or to share information. The second type is the interrogative sentence. This is the detective of the group. Its purpose is to ask a question, to interrogate, to seek information. The third type is the imperative sentence. This is the commander. It gives an order, a command, or makes a request. And finally, the fourth type is the exclamatory sentence. This is the drama queen. It is used to express strong emotion or excitement. Each of these sentence types has its own characteristic structure and, crucially, its own special punctuation mark at the end. A declarative sentence ends with a simple full stop. An interrogative sentence, as you might expect, always ends with a question mark. An imperative sentence can end with a full stop or, if the command is urgent, an exclamation point. And an exclamatory sentence almost always ends with an exclamation point, signaling its heightened emotional state. These little punctuation marks are vital clues that tell the reader how the sentence should be understood and heard in their head. In the sections that follow, we will look at each of these four sentence types one by one. We will examine their structure, their purpose, and their unique personality. We will see how a simple set of words can be rearranged and repunctuated to transform a quiet statement into an urgent question or a passionate cry. Understanding these four flavors is essential for navigating social interactions. It allows you to know when you are being told something, asked something, ordered to do something, or simply hearing someone express their feelings. It is the key to understanding the intention behind the words. Let us begin with the most common, the most straightforward, and perhaps the most important sentence type of all, the declarative sentence. Its name gives us a perfect clue to its function. It declares something, it makes a statement, it tells you a piece of information. The vast majority of sentences you read in books, newspapers, and articles are declarative sentences. They are the backbone of exposition and the primary vehicle for sharing knowledge. The sky is blue. My name is Stephen. We are learning about grammar. These are all declarative sentences. They are simply stating what is. The structure of a declarative sentence is the one we have already mastered. It follows the standard subject-verb-object pattern. It begins with the subject followed by the verb. This simple logical order makes the information easy to process and understand. There are no tricks, no surprises. It is a sentence that is designed for clarity and efficiency. Its tone is typically neutral and informative. Its job is not to excite or to question, but simply to convey a fact or an opinion calmly and clearly. It is the default setting for communication, the solid ground on which all other sentence types are built. Every declarative sentence concludes with one of the quietest but most important punctuation marks we have, the full stop. That little dot says, "The thought is now complete." You may pause and absorb the information. It signals a moment of finality. It is a calm and confident ending. It doesn't ask for a response, and it doesn't demand an action. It simply presents an idea for your consideration and then falls silent. The full stop is the mark of a statement made with certainty. It is the quiet anchor at the end of a thought, holding it firmly in place for the reader to observe. So whenever you want to tell someone something, share a fact, explain an idea, or describe a scene, the declarative sentence is your best friend. It is reliable, it is clear, and it is universally understood. From the simplest statement, "The cat sat on the mat," to a far more complex one, the intricate political landscape of the 17th century was primarily shaped by religious conflict and economic instability. The principle remains the same. You are declaring something to be true. It is the foundational sentence type upon which all storytelling, explanation, and discourse are built, a truly indispensable tool. Now let us turn our attention to the inquisitive member of the sentence family, the interrogative sentence. To interrogate is to ask questions, and that is precisely what this sentence type does. It is the tool we use to probe the world for information, to satisfy our curiosity, and to engage in conversation. Communication is not a one-way street of declarations. It is a two-way exchange. The interrogative sentence is what allows us to request our turn, to ask for clarification, and to show interest in what another person has to say. What is your name? Where are you from? Do you enjoy learning about grammar? The structure of an interrogative sentence is often a little different from a declarative one. We frequently have to perform a little bit of grammatical surgery, changing the word order. Often this involves moving a helping verb like are, is, do, or can to the beginning of the sentence. For example, the declarative sentence is, "You are happy." To turn this into a question, we invert the subject and the helping verb. Are you happy? The declarative is, he can swim. The interrogative becomes, can he swim? This inversion is a clear signal that a question is being asked. Another common way to form an interrogative sentence is to begin with a special question word. These are the famous which words, who, what, where, when, why, and also how. These words are like little information-seeking missiles. They tell the listener exactly what kind of information you are looking for. Who ate the last biscuit? Seeks to identify a person. Where is the train station? Seeks a location. Why is the sky blue? Seeks a reason. These question words are incredibly efficient. guiding the conversation, and specifying the exact knowledge gap you wish to fill. And of course, every single interrogative sentence must end with a question mark. This piece of punctuation is not optional. It is essential. It transforms a string of words from a potential statement into an undeniable question. Compare "you are coming to the party," a declarative statement, with "you are coming to the party." An interrogative question, often spoken with a rising tone. The question mark is a direct appeal to the listener. It says, "I have finished my query." The conversational ball is now in your court. I await your response. It is the punctuation mark of curiosity and engagement. Next on our stage is the assertive and direct member of the family, the imperative sentence. This is the sentence type we use when we want to tell someone to do something. It gives a command, an order, an instruction, or makes a request. It is the language of leadership, of guidance, and of simple, direct action. Close the door. Please pass the salt. Read this book. Be quiet. These are all imperative sentences. They are designed to cause an action. While other sentences describe the world or ask about it, the imperative sentence seeks to change it, even in a small way. The grammatical structure of the imperative sentence is unique because it often appears to be missing a subject. In the sentence, "sit down," who is the subject? Who is being told to sit down? The subject is you, the person being spoken to. However, the you is almost always omitted because it is understood from the context. We call this the implied you. The sentence is, in its full form, "You sit down." This makes imperative sentences very direct and concise. They get straight to the point by starting with the base form of the verb, go, help, listen. The tone of an imperative sentence can vary greatly depending on the context and the words used. It can be a sharp, forceful command, stop. It can be a clear instruction, as in a recipe, mix the flour and the eggs, or with the simple addition of the magic word please. It can become a polite and gentle request. Please wait here. The choice of words and the tone of voice are incredibly important when using the imperative. Without care, a simple instruction can sound like a rude demand. The imperative is a powerful tool, and like all power tools, it should be handled with skill and awareness. The punctuation at the end of an imperative sentence can be either a full stop or an exclamation point. A full stop suggests a calm standard instruction or request. Turn left at the traffic lights. An exclamation point adds a sense of urgency, excitement, or force. Help me, or look out. The punctuation helps the reader understand the emotional temperature of the command. So, the imperative is our tool for getting things done. It is the most direct form of communication, a sentence that doesn't just talk, but acts. Finally, we come to the most passionate and expressive member of the sentence family, the exclamatory sentence. This sentence type isn't really for sharing information or asking questions. Its main purpose, honestly, is to convey a strong emotion. It's a cry of surprise, a shout of joy, a gasp of fear, or a declaration of great feeling. It's the sentence you use when you're just, overwhelmed by the moment. What a beautiful day. I can't believe we won. That's incredible. Ouch, that hurts. These are the sounds of pure emotion, captured in words. Structurally, an exclamatory sentence often begins with what or how, but it's not a question. For example, what a clever dog you are, or how wonderful it is to see you. Unlike an interrogative sentence, the word order doesn't usually invert. We don't say, what a clever dog are you? The structure often resembles a declarative sentence, but it's, supercharged with feeling. It's a statement that's been turned up to the maximum volume. It takes a simple fact and injects it with a powerful dose of personal emotion. The defining feature of an exclamatory sentence, The thing that signals its identity without any doubt is the punctuation mark at the end. It must end with an exclamation point. This symbol is the written equivalent of a raised voice, a sudden intake of breath, or a wide-eyed expression. It tells the reader that this isn't just a neutral statement. It's a sentence loaded with feeling. The view is beautiful is a calm declarative sentence. The view is beautiful is an exclamatory sentence expressing awe and wonder. The exclamation point makes all the difference. While exclamatory sentences add wonderful color and emotion to our speech and informal writing, a small word of caution is in order. In formal writing, such as essays or reports, they should be used very sparingly, if at all. Overusing exclamation points can make your writing seem breathless, overly emotional, or even childish. They're a very strong spice, and too much can overwhelm the dish. But used at the right moment, in the right context, an exclamatory sentence is the perfect way to share a moment of genuine passion and make your language truly come alive. Now that we've explored the different functions of our sentences, let's return to one of our most loyal and hard-working crew members, the preposition. We met this part of speech in Act 1, where we learned that it shows relationships, particularly of time and place. Words like in, on, at, under, behind, through, before, and after. Now we can appreciate their role more fully. Prepositions and the little phrases they create are one of the primary ways we add detail, context, and richness to all four types of our sentences. They're the master scene setters. Consider a simple declarative sentence. The dog sat. It's grammatically complete, but visually, rather bare. Now let's add some prepositional phrases to paint a picture. The dog sat under the table. The dog sat on the new sofa. The dog sat beside the fireplace during the storm. Each prepositional phrase, under the table, on the new sofa, beside the fireplace, during the storm, adds a new layer of information. They answer the questions where and when, transforming a stark statement into a vivid scene. They build the world around the core action of the sentence. This power isn't limited to declarative sentences. Prepositions add crucial specificity to questions as well. Instead of asking the general question, when will you arrive? We can be more specific using a preposition. Will you arrive before lunch or after lunch? They also clarify our commands. Put the book on the shelf is a much more useful instruction than simply put the book. They provide the necessary context for the action to be completed successfully. They're the masters of logistics, making sure everyone knows the where and the when. Truly mastering English involves developing a feel for which preposition to use in which situation. This can sometimes be tricky, since the logic isn't always obvious. We say we are in a car, but on a bus. We arrive at a building, but in a city. These are conventions that are best learned through exposure and practice, but the principle is clear. Prepositions are the vital words that connect our nouns to the rest of the sentence, weaving them into a rich tapestry of location, time, and logic. They're the unsung heroes that provide the setting for every story we tell. Our final performer to take the stage in this act is a short, dramatic, and often impulsive one. It's the interjection. An interjection is a word or phrase that's thrown into a sentence to express a sudden burst of emotion. The word itself comes from Latin, meaning thrown in between, and that is exactly what they are. They're not grammatically connected to the rest of the sentence. They're standalone cries of feeling. Words like wow, oh, ouch, hey, well, and oops are all interjections. They're the most direct way of expressing our immediate reactions. Interjections are like little windows into our emotional state. If you're telling a story and you say, wow, the car was driving so fast, the word wow instantly tells your listener about your surprise or amazement. It does this far more quickly and naturally than saying, I was surprised to see that the car was driving so fast. An interjection is a shortcut to emotion. It adds a layer of personality and immediacy to our speech, making it sound more natural and human. They're the verbal equivalent of a facial expression, a gasp or a wince. Because they're grammatically separate from the rest of the sentence, interjections are usually set off by a punctuation mark. A strong interjection expressing a powerful feeling is followed by an exclamation point. Ouch! I stubbed my toe. Hooray! We did it. A milder interjection, perhaps expressing hesitation or a simple transition, is often followed by a comma. Well, I'm not sure that's a good idea. Oh, I see what you mean now. The punctuation helps to signal the intensity of the emotion being expressed to the reader. Like exclamatory sentences, interjections are most at home in conversation and informal writing. You wouldn't typically find gosh or yikes in a formal academic paper or a business report. They're just too personal, too emotional for that kind of context. However, in storytelling, in dialogue, and in everyday speech, they are indispensable. They're the little sparks of pure feeling that make our language vibrant and real. And with that final emotional outburst, we bring Act 3 to a rousing close. You have all performed wonderfully. Take a bow. A very warm welcome back to our grammatical odyssey. We have, in essence, learned how to sail the linguistic seas, but as any seasoned sailor will tell you, the sea is not always calm. In this act, we shall bravely chart these dangerous waters together, looking at common grammatical mistakes. Our purpose here is not to point fingers or to induce panic. We'll examine them, understand why they happen, and learn the simple tricks to navigate around them safely, and we'll have a bit of a laugh along the way. They are the great white whales of grammatical error. Our goal is to make you a more confident navigator of the English language and steer your sentence safely into the clear, calm harbor of mutual understanding. The apostrophe has two main jobs: to show possession and to indicate missing letters in a contraction. To show a hat belongs to a man, we write the man's hat. For multiple dogs, the toys belonging to them would be the dog's toys. Do not becomes don't. The apostrophe marks where the O used to be. Never use an apostrophe to make a simple noun plural, 1 apple, 2 apples. We now sail into the perilous strait of the homophones. Homophones sound the same but have different spellings and meanings. Our first encounter is with there, and there. There points to a place. There is about possession. There is a contraction of they are. By applying these simple tests, you can confidently choose the right word every time. Having bravely navigated the treacherous waters of the three-headed Hydra, we come face to face with its equally mischievous cousin. This two-headed beast consists of your and your. These two words sound identical in the flow of conversation, which means our ears cannot help us tell them apart. It is only in writing that their difference becomes starkly and sometimes embarrassingly apparent. The confusion between these two is another classic hallmark of hasty writing, but just like our previous monster, it can be vanquished forever with one incredibly simple, utterly foolproof trick that takes but a moment to apply. Let's begin with your. This is a possessive word. Just like there was in our last adventure, it shows that something belongs to you. It is a possessive adjective, to be precise, and its entire purpose in life is to indicate ownership. Is this your coat? I love your new haircut. What is your favorite color? In all these cases, the word your is followed by a noun, coat, haircut, color, and shows that it belongs to the person being addressed. It is the word you use when talking about something that belongs to you. Plain and simple. No apostrophe, no fuss, just pure unadulterated possession. Now let's look at the other head of the beast, your. Once again, we see that telltale apostrophe. And what does that apostrophe signal? It signals a contraction. It is a squashed-together version of two words. In this case, your is the shortened form of you are. This is its one and only meaning. It is not possessive. It has absolutely nothing to do with belonging. It is a simple statement of being. You're very clever. You're going to be late. You're my best friend. It is a combination of a subject, you, and a verb, are. Here, then, is the cast-iron, copper-bottomed, fail-safe test. Whenever you find yourself hesitating between your and your, simply try to replace the word with the full phrase you are. If the sentence still makes perfect grammatical sense, then your, with the apostrophe, is the correct choice. If the sentence becomes a jumble of nonsense, then you must use your. Let's try it. Is this you are coat? Gibberish. So it must be your coat. You are very clever. Perfect sense. So it must be your. Take that extra second. It's a tiny investment of time that will protect your writing from error. See? You're getting it already. Let's solve the puzzle of and, words that confuse even experienced writers. Is always a shortened form of, or a lovely day means a lovely day. Without an apostrophe, shows possession. The dog wagged tail. Here's a simple test. If you can replace with or use the apostrophe, otherwise use the dog wagged tail, nonsense. So, it's tail. Master and every time with this simple rule. We now move away from the world of tricky spellings and into the more subtle realm of word choice. Here we meet a pair of words that are frequently used interchangeably, but which have a specific distinction that can make your writing or speaking much more precise. I am talking about fewer and less. Many people use less for everything, but learning the difference between the two is a mark of a careful and thoughtful communicator. The distinction, I am happy to report, is wonderfully logical and hinges on a single simple question. Can you count it? The rule is this. You use fewer for things that you can count individually. These are known as count nouns. You can count apples, chairs, books, people, mistakes, and dogs. Therefore, you should say, I have fewer apples than you, not less apples. You would have fewer problems if you followed the instructions. You would hope for fewer cars on the road during your commute. If you can put a number in front of the noun, 1 mistake, 2 mistakes, 3 mistakes, then the word you should use when comparing a smaller quantity is fewer. It is the word for individual, separable items. On the other hand, we use less for things that you cannot count individually. These are mass nouns or uncountable nouns. You cannot count water, sand, air, happiness, traffic, or information. You can measure them, of course, but you can't count them as individual units. So you would say, I have less water in my bottle than you do. You would talk about having less time or less money. You would wish for less traffic on the roads. In these cases, we are talking about a general amount or volume of something, not a number of individual items. The classic example that brings this all together is the supermarket checkout lane. A sign that reads 10 items or less is, strictly speaking, grammatically incorrect because items can be counted. The sign should read 10 items or fewer. However, this mistake has become so common that many people no longer notice it, but you will. The simple test is to ask yourself, am I talking about individual things I can count or a general amount of stuff? If you can count them, use fewer. If you can't, use less. It is a small distinction that adds a great deal of precision and polish to your language. Affect and effect cause confusion because of their similar spelling and pronunciation. The difference between them is primarily one of function. Affect is the verb, the action. To affect something is to produce a change in it. Effect is the noun. It is the result or the consequence of the action. For over 95% of everyday situations, affect is the verb of action. Effect is the noun of end result. We end our tour with the amusing dangling modifier. A modifier describes something in a sentence. It dangles when it seems to describe the wrong thing, often hilariously. Example, having finished my dinner, the television was turned on, absurdly implies the television ate dinner. The fix? Having finished my dinner, I turned on the television. Read aloud to catch these errors. Correcting them makes your writing clearer and saves your television from eating its vegetables. Bravo for navigating so skillfully. Welcome back to our final act. We've journeyed far, met the cast, and navigated treacherous waters. Now we shift from what and why to how. How do we use this knowledge to be compelling, moving from competence to genuine flair? This isn't about new rules, but developing good habits and seeing grammar as a painter's palette. True flair is about clarity and deliberate choices that impact your audience. Let's begin transforming knowledge into effective language. If you want to master English, read constantly and widely. Read everything, novels, news, poetry, even cereal boxes. But don't just read with your eyes. Listen to the rhythm and sound of the words. When a sentence strikes you, pause and ask, why does it work? Notice the author's choices. Let great writing soak in. Soon you'll develop an instinct for what sounds right. The more you read, the more naturally you'll write with style and confidence. Punctuation isn't just a set of rules. It's your script for the reader's mind. Commas, full stops, colons, and exclamation points control pace, rhythm, and emotion. A full stop is a red light. A comma, a gentle pause, a colon, a drum roll, an exclamation, a cymbal crash. Use punctuation to guide your reader's breath and attention. Read your work aloud. Do the pauses feel natural? Place marks with intention, not habit. Master punctuation, and you become a performer, not just a writer. Monotonous sentences bore readers. Variety brings writing to life. Mix long, flowing sentences with short, punchy ones for dynamic rhythm. A long sentence builds tension. A short one delivers impact. Vary your sentence structure to keep readers engaged and alert. Read your work aloud. Does it have a beat, a flow? Rhythm transforms writing from dull to captivating. Verbs are the engine of your writing. Choose them with care. Swap weak verbs for vivid ones. Stroll, sprint, trudge, spark, terrify. Strong verbs paint pictures and energize your prose. Hunt down bland to-be verbs and replace them with action. Use a thesaurus wisely. Pick the word that fits best, not just the fanciest. Upgrade your verbs and your writing will roar to life. Great writing is lean cut the clutter. Eliminate filler words, redundancies, and weak intensifiers. Ask, does every word earn its place? Replace phrases like in order to with to, and at this moment in time with now. Be ruthless, trim repetition and unnecessary adverbs. Aim for clarity and elegance. Perfection is when nothing is left to remove. Edit fiercely, and your writing will shine. Your best editing tool? Reading your work aloud. Your ear catches awkward phrasing, clunky rhythm, and missing punctuation your eyes miss. If you stumble or run out of breath, revise. Reading aloud ensures your writing flows naturally and clearly. Make this your final step, your secret weapon for confident, compelling communication. Now, go forth and write with clarity, confidence, and flair. And so, my dear friends, we arrive at the end of our little performance. The final curtain is beginning to fall on our grammatical stage. Over the course of our hour together, we have journeyed through the very heart of the English language. It is the blueprint of understanding, the shared code that turns a jumble of sounds into meaning and connection. It is not a cage that restricts our expression, but a magnificent toolkit that empowers it. Our goal was to strip away the fear and replace it with a sense of playful curiosity and confident competence. Our play may be ending, but your own story as a more empowered communicator is only just beginning. We've discussed rules and structures. This knowledge is important, but true mastery lies in moving beyond conscious application. It's about internalizing rules until they become second nature, freeing your mind. Think of grammar like learning to drive. At first, it's mechanical. With practice, it becomes subconscious, letting you focus on the journey. Move towards intuitive rhythm through reading and listening. Let the rules become an invisible skeleton. Have the courage to let your ear and intuition guide you. The goal is to express yourself with natural grace because the principles work silently in the background. That is mastery. The English language is not a static monument. It is a living, breathing, evolving organism. It shifts and flows, borrowing words and adapting over time. You are an active participant in its ongoing story, contributing to its evolution. As a guardian, strive for clarity using good grammar. You are tending to the garden, ensuring this tool of connection remains effective. But you are also a creator, using language for play, poetry, and art. The greatest writers understood the rules so well that they knew exactly when to break them for maximum impact, preserve its clarity, and contribute to its creative growth. Our hour together has laid a solid foundation and equipped you with a map and a compass. Think of this not as a destination, but as the starting point of a lifelong adventure. The joy of language is that you can never exhaust its possibilities. There is always another book to read, a new expression to learn. The world of words is infinite, and your journey through it can and should last a lifetime. The best way to continue is to remain curious. Become a collector of words, a connoisseur of sentences. Your world becomes richer when you pay attention to the words used to describe it. So let this lesson be the catalyst for a new relationship with language based on a spirit of perpetual curiosity. Throughout our lesson, our ultimate goal has been to help you become a more confident communicator, but it is vital to understand what true confidence in language really means. It does not mean being a pedant, someone who takes delight in pointing out the grammatical slips of others. That is not confidence. It is arrogance, and it is the enemy of good communication. True confidence is not about being an infallible grammar police officer. It is about having the courage to express your ideas clearly and effectively without being paralyzed by the fear of making a mistake. Let me tell you a secret. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone. The most celebrated authors, the most eloquent orators, the most diligent editors. We all have moments where we choose the wrong word or let a clumsy phrase slip through. Language is a complex and often spontaneous act, and the pursuit of absolute, unblemished perfection is a fool's errand. It is a recipe for silence. If you wait until you are certain that every word is perfectly in its place before you speak or write, you may never say anything at all. And what a terrible loss that would be. Confidence comes from knowing that even if you do make a mistake, if you use its instead of its or dangle a modifier, the world will not end. You have the knowledge to recognize the error and the skill to correct it. Confidence is about having a robust enough understanding of the system to be able to self-correct and learn. It is about being generous with the mistakes of others, knowing that you too are imperfect. It is about focusing on the primary goal of communication, which is to connect with another human being, rather than on the secondary goal of achieving grammatical perfection. So please, I implore you, be kind to yourself. Embrace the fact that you will, from time to time, make errors. It is part of the process of learning and growing. The confidence we have been building today is not the brittle confidence of someone who thinks they are perfect. It is the resilient, flexible confidence of someone who understands the fundamentals, who has the tools to express themselves clearly, and who has the wisdom to know that clarity and connection are infinitely more important than a slavish devotion to correctness. True confidence is the freedom to communicate. We have reached the very end of our road together. The house of grammar has been built. The tools are in your hands, and the knowledge is in your mind. All that remains is for you to step out into the world and to use what you have learned. The entire purpose has been to empower you with the tool of language. It is a tool for building bridges, for sharing knowledge, for creating art, and for shaping reality. This power is now more firmly in your grasp. Never forget that your voice is unique and the world needs to hear it. Do not let a lack of confidence silence you. Use this power to participate, to question, to create, to connect, and to contribute. Your voice matters, and good grammar is simply the amplifier that allows it to be heard more clearly. It has been my absolute pleasure to be your guide today on the Sonic Sciences Scholastic Series, Exploration of the Syntax of the English Language. Go forth and be understood and empowered by knowledge.